This is a thrilling thriller manhwa, and it has 35 chapters. The manhwa starts as we see few people gathered in what seems to be a dungeon lobby. They seem to have no clue as to how they appeared in this area, and they're trying to share information to be able to understand what is going on. All of a sudden, a cute little fairy-like administrator appears in their midst, introducing herself as Isol. Her appearance is met with hostile confrontations from the summoned players, as she is unwilling to give information about why they were summoned, and how they even appeared here. We see as the two-star knight draws a sword to try to force her into spilling the truth of the current situation, but he immediately learns that though she's small, she isn't someone to be disrespected, and sadly, it's too late, because we see as without hesitation, she is able to quickly detach his head off his body in a gruesome manner. Everyone is shocked at this unexpected turn of events, as she then persists to give instructions, and warns against trying to attack her, because she will defend herself. We then hear an ominous voice to start the tutorial. Isol, flustered by the voice, gives the command to get ready, as the gateway opens. Everyone is still as confused and terrified as ever, but they are grouped into fives, given equipments, and are sent into the battlefield. We see as the first batch strolls into the dungeon, with regular low-grade equipments, but it's shown that they didn't make it back, as Isol is mad at them for being weak. She yells for the next group to go in as well. We see as one man lies about having arthritis, which angers Isol. For context, there are 5 people in each teams. One guy in particular is showing calmness, and is focused, and this piques the interest of a fellow group member. She then forcefully drags the old man, as they walk into the dungeon. We are then cut to a scene, where they appear in the dungeon to a beautiful sight. Then, all of a sudden, they are greeted by goblins who want to devour them. I think it's safe to say, that the black-haired cool-looking dude is our protagonist. We see as he tries to encourage his mates to stand and defend themselves, but the sight of the goblins had the other players running for their lives, even leaving their weapons behind. All of a sudden, the guy with arthritis could easily sprint through the field. But naturally, they are unable to escape, as there is a dome wrapped around the battlefield preventing their escape. The only way out is through. We see as the goblins dash to attack the protagonist Han, and the archer Jenna. Our protagonist has never wielded a sword, but we see as he is ready to survive this unfortunate situation to the end. The scenery of this manhwa is amazing, and it feels nothing far from an amazing manhwa. Please like and subscribe. Then, we're given a little backlog, for better understanding. Pick Me Up Gacha, a mobile game made by Mobius. The goal of the game is to get to the 100th floor of the tower, create materials to fortify and support your hero, and use strategies and tactics to clear the tower. We see that before our protagonist was summoned as a player in the game, he would play the game in the outside world as a regular player, but apparently, had the worst luck in gacha pulls, and also, the game was programmed with insane difficulty. There's a new event, and his characters are participating. Suddenly we see as all his players are struck by fear and this affects their stats. An unknown figure appears, and disposes of his players in an instant. This leaves Han annoyed, as he thinks it may be a system error. Then the ominous player glares at Han, and is thrilled, saying that he has been found. Immediately, he is forcefully absorbed into the game, and is unwillingly added into a system that seems to be acting on its own. He then appears in a burning town, where he faces off against a goblin, and somehow survives its attack, and kills the goblin. He is transported to the lobby room, where he suddenly realizes that, somehow, he has appeared in the game Pick Me Up, out of his will. Then, a 4-star player is summoned, and we see as she immediately attacks and kills off the remaining goblins. Han is scared, as he sees the overwhelming difference in their skill, and believes that he might be cast aside as useless. The option then comes to merge the 4-star Esper, and our 1-star Han, through synthesis, as Isol screams at Han to go into the synthesis chamber. We see as they get into an argument as Isol is surprised at how Han knows her name, but she eventually pushes him into the chamber. Then, to our surprise, the 4th-star knight is sacrificed, even though she was the better choice, and Han levels up. The other player knight was, as they say, sent to a better place. Fast forward to recent times, we see as the goblins chase, and happily lay waste to the men that tried to escape. While Han and Jenna, through thick and thin, were able to survive, and killed off the goblins. Eventually, Han lost an arm, but keeps his life. Then, he sits on the floor to catch his breath, as he glares at the god-like eye above, who is most likely the admin of the game. Han was once the 5th place ranker in Pick Me Up Gacha, so he is determined to make it through this hell-like experience. It's the next day, and our protagonist is seen training on the field. It seems his amputated arm has somehow fully recovered. We see that his resolve is a lot stronger, and he isn't allowing this hellish situation put him down. But instead, he's seen training to improve on his skills and combat ability, so he can be physically and mentally stable for the coming events. As we know, there are 2 ways to die in this world. It's either through combat or from being compounded, and the later is the most daunting. We see as even Jenna joins in on the training and is working hard to improve on her archery skills. Han and Jenna have formed a pact together and promise to forge forward in clearing the 100 stages of the tower. We are then cut to the next scene, where it shows that the master has logged in. The master summons 3 more heroes to complete the party of 5. We see as Jenna tries to alert them and is screaming at the confused new players to get ready to fight. Isol then opens the gate into the new dungeon, and they're transported into the dungeon with their weapons. Immediately, the dungeon beasts appear, and we are shown new variants among the beasts, and it's a bit intimidating. The new unfortunate players are immediately struck by fear at the sight of the monsters naturally. We see as Jenna is briefly also struck by fear, but Han immediately notices, and taps her to set her straight. But the other men are still terrified. So next, they start a heated battle against the beasts and goblins. We see as our protagonist and Jenna are quick to show an overwhelming display of strength, and it's impressive as they lay waste to the multitude of monsters. Hard work pays. Jenna is still a bit unsettled, and is seen shooting more arrows than is needed to kill one beast, to which Han is able to calm her. But Han and Jenna survive this round, and are teleported back. The new guys also survived as well, by being carried through. Suddenly, the ground shakes heavily, and it's alarming. Han is unsettled, and thinks they'll be immediately sent to the next round without rest, but he is relieved, as the master then logs off. We learn that it's 1 floor a day, so this gives the players more time to rest and train. Then, Jenna tries to talk to the new players, to encourage them to participate in the fights, but this is met with unreasonable arguments and shoutings. Han stares, and he is already well aware of their fate, and doesn't care to help them, since they'll probably die eventually. Training continued into the next day, and the other 3 didn't even come out to the training hall, saying they were looking for a way to escape, but sadly, we know that's impossible. They trained, and worked hard to improve their skills the entire day. We see as during training, one of Jenna's arrows pierces Han on his thigh, but Han is quick to pull out the arrow from his leg, and his wound instantly heals. I think that solves the amputated arm situation. It seems all wounds heal once they're in the lobby. Anyways, he immediately goes back to training, and he gains a higher pain tolerance as well, and luckily, Han also awakens a new skill, through his resilience. The admin then logs in, and it's dawning. We see as Isol appears, and she gives everyone orders to get ready for the next trial. Jenna is hyped for the next round, but the 3 newbies are still shouting at Isol to send them back, angering Isol the more. She then tussles them a bit, and sends them away. It's the 3rd floor, and the hungry-looking goblins now have armor. Han is pumped for this round, and, without any haste, we see as he dives in, and attacks first. It's a one-sided massacre. They are a bit disappointed that the goblins aren't really putting up a fight anymore. Then, we also see that, again, the newbies have refused to participate in the trials. Suddenly, they are given the option to run circles with the trials, because the master is pissed at the newbies for not carrying their weight. They are teleported back to the 1st floor again to face the goblins, but, this time around, the goblins were no match. This continues up to the 3rd floor, and, the rookies still stayed stubborn, and didn't help out even once. Finally, they reach the synthesis dome, and the dome is activated. We already know that the heroes who are compounded die. To be honest, I'm gonna spare you the theatrics. But it's shown that 2 out of the 3 new heroes are compounded and sacrificed, for obvious reasons, and Jenna along with Han leveled up. The 3rd hero got lucky. In this place, useless people are compounded, and only the strong survive. Well, for now, at least. This fact doesn't sit too well with Jenna, but it's the unwritten rule of the game. I see you are enjoying the video. You might want to leave a like. It's the next day, and as usual, Han and Jenna are training, so to their surprise, they see the third newbie has come to his senses, and begs for them to help him and assist him in his trainings as he would like to get stronger as well. Han then hands him a spear to use in training. They begin to train, and typical, Han is relentless with his training and uses a tough love approach to toughen up this newbie. Han is seen enjoying this training, and might be even a little more than he should. Later that day, it seems that the VR master is making some upgrades to the virtual town. Han calls out for Isol, to ask some nosy questions to her. They talk for a bit, and then, to her surprise, she eventually finds out that Han used to be a famous master of this game, and he went by the name Loki. We see Isol, fangirling at Han, and asking for his autograph, which was adorable. She then realizes that she has been talking shitty to Han since he arrived in the tower, and is a bit unsettled. Isol is seen showing concerns for the world that he ruled over, Niflheim, to which we then get a little backlog. Niflheim, the world where Han was superior as Loki. It had 13 floors, and a capacity of over 20,000. But sadly, Han is now trapped here, and has no clue how they're coping without him in Niflheim. Isol is now relaxed, and more modest with her response to Han. She explains some truth to Han as they talk, but she is unable to reveal to him the person that summoned him to this world. We find out that over 1 million worlds like this exist, and people have no control, or ability to resist once they are summoned, but most of all, we find out that Han is a half-master, half-hero, and has a little authority and influence even as an in-game player. Note that as the manhwa progresses from here, the story speeds up a little. Jenna the archer appears to also be a talented genius. She helps to train Eren even as she has little proficiency in sword play. The team starts to explore the other options of the lobby, and with Han's potential as a master hero, he gets into areas that only the master can, creating and crafting in the smith. Han is able to develop better equipments and battle gears for his teammates. We're then shown as Han, along with Jenna and Eren, test out their new equipments in the 4th floor against some harpies and goblins. Eren still doesn't have much knowledge of battle, and is seen swinging his spear every which way at the harpy. Luckily for him, Jenna, in her own way helps to set him straight. It's not wrong to say that Jenna may just have traumatized this man, even more than the harpies. But I guess it works as we see that he calms himself, and together, they're able to clear the 4th stage. They get back to the lobby, and Eren isn't so happy, as he thinks he was the weak link in the group, but, to their surprise, the master then adds Eren to favorites, and he is overwhelmed with joy. Briefly we are shown a glimpse of the state of Niflheim. The heroes in Niflheim are a bit unsettled about the whereabouts of their master, and we see as one of them sets out on a journey to look for Loki.